the second day of nuclear talks between Iran and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council plus Germany in Geneva. It seems that they are closer to reaching an agreement on Tehran's nuclear energy program. In a last-minute decision, US Secretary of State John Kerry decided to travel to Geneva to take part in the talks. Prior to his departure, Kerry met with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv. The Israeli Prime Minister says Tel Aviv, quote, utterly rejects the Iran deal as very bad.
I understand the Iranians are walking around very satisfied in Geneva, as well they should be, because they got everything and paid nothing, everything they wanted. They wanted relief of sanctions after years of a grueling sanctions regime. They got that. They're paying nothing because they're not reducing in any way their nuclear enrichment capability. So Iran got the deal of the century, and the international community got a bad deal. This is a very bad deal. And Israel utterly rejects it, and what I'm saying is shared by many, many in the regions, whether or not they express it publicly.
Well, this as U.S. State Department officials say Kerry is committed to doing anything he can to help narrow the differences with Iran. Meanwhile, a report says a trilateral meeting will be held between Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif, Kerry and Catherine Ashton in Geneva. The French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius is also due to travel to Geneva to attend the talks. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has also said that there is a chance of agreeing on a roadmap for ending disputes with Iran over its nuclear energy program. Mr. Franklin Lam is an international lawyer. He's with us now live from Beirut. Let's get his thoughts on this. Mr. Lam, first of all, how are you interpreting this move by the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry just after his talks in Tel Aviv with Netanyahu? He's heading to Geneva, and now these comments, a lot of anger from Netanyahu.
Yes. Well, of course he's going there because it's important. What he was doing in holding the hand of Netanyahu isn't really that very important, because 20 years of peace process is zero. What they're going to do in this time is zero. But what could happen in Switzerland with the Iranians and the Americans and the P5, this could be historic. This could be the breakthrough. No one doubted that Netanyahu would react this way, calling it a historic mistake, catastrophic. But I remind you, and since this is a family program, we have to watch our language, but remember what John Kerry said about Netanyahu 6 months ago. He said he's a pain in the, so he is. And he's on the wrong side of history. Progress is moving forward. The Americans want a deal. The Iranians and both of their allies, except Israel, want a deal. Hopefully, there'll be something significant to reverse 3 decades of negativism between Washington and Tehran. And they can do it because history shows, remember in 2002 with Afghanistan, look who made a deal, the Americans and the Iranians. So they're capable, and this is important. So I think all the world's eyes are on Switzerland. We're hopeful, we're encouraged, and no one cares very much what Netanyahu is saying. He has no credibility in this region. He has almost no credibility in America. So I'm not concerned about that.
Well, you see, we are hearing about sanctions being discussed in the U.S. Congress, Mr. Lam, and the fact that Kerry was meeting Netanyahu, was in Tel Aviv, was seen by some as America trying to, appease Israel at the same time that it's talking with Iran. Do you think that with these comments we just heard from Netanyahu and Kerry heading to Geneva in a move that is quite surprising for many, that this shows that the United States, we can interpret this as meaning the United States is backing away from its stance in support of Israel, at least when it comes to its policies on Iran?
Absolutely. And it's not news in one sense. You know, this has been going on for some while. Of course, the American administration, for you know better than I do, given our political system currently, doesn't mean it's always going to be this way, but the power of the Zionists make the White House have to genuflect and kowtow publicly. But privately, I think the American position is close to the Iranian position, and certainly nowhere near the Zionist position on this. The reason Netanyahu is so upset, he knows this isn't a problem for Israel, but he wants to make sure that the trend in the Middle East is in the favor of Israel and not the Islamic Republic or Syria or even, for all that matter, the Americans. So I think it's expected that the key will be if there's a breakthrough. And if there's not, you can imagine what Netanyahu is going to say. I told you so, I told you so. But I trust from the signs, and none of us knows, that something concrete is going to come out of this. And the idea that, well, the Congress is ready to pile on sanctions, that's not true. They're ready in the face of no opposition, serious. But if the White House backs this, and Kerry backs this, and Hagel, there'll be a fight in the Congress. And I think the same way that the Republicans lost recently in the elections and on the Obamacare, they're going to lose on this issue if they press for increased sanctions, because it puts them out of touch with the American people and the people who elect them. And increasingly, the most important sign in American politics is the rise of the liberals. Look what happened in Michigan. In Clearborn, a majority on the city council are Muslims, and half of them, 50% of the four that were elected, they are Shia. So things are changing. Hopefully there won't be a war before, you know, these historic forces coalesce and change the situation in the Middle East, and it'll be for the betterment of the Jews, for the Americans, and all people of goodwill.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Franklin Lam, an international lawyer, with us there live from Beirut with his thoughts.